if you really want to make it happen and you're passionate about it, shut down the distraction, go after it, but make it the focal point of everything you're doing. It makes your life easier, because if you're trying to run a business and you're trying to also have that balance, right? The work-life balance that everybody struggles to find as an entrepreneur, having good business partners allows you to do that.
Honest Ecommerce is a weekly podcast where we interview direct-to-consumer brand founders and leaders to find out what it takes to start, grow, and scale an online business today. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Honest Ecommerce. Today, I'm bringing to the show Chad Dime, the co-founder and chairman of the board at DIFF Charitable Eyewear, where they create designer eyewear for a fair price, all while giving back. Chad, welcome to the show.
What's up, Chase? How's it going?
It's going great. I'm excited to chat with you. We're finally making this happen. You guys are doing so much cool stuff now, but I definitely want to go back to the beginning. So where did this idea come from? I'm guessing a little bit of family history. Maybe that was the impetus.
DIFF Charitable Eyewear was founded 10 years ago. And when we founded the company, the whole idea was to create a fair market value for designer eyewear. And we wanted to give back. So at the time when we were founded back in November 2014 was really when we launched, there was not a lot going on in the price point range between, let's call it a gas station sunglass for $15 and your premium eyewear for something, $150, $200 and up. So we wanted to take the same quality, the same materials, and create a pair of sunglasses that were going to be equal to that what you see in a department store for $200 and up, and give it to people for under $100. So the whole point was to really disrupt that whole giant, really what is almost like a monopoly in the eyewear industry, with quality eyewear that was designer and affordable, and then tie in the give back. So what started with just reading glasses, we gave 5 million gifts of sight to date. What started with reading glasses transitioned into surgeries and medicines and different treatments and more. And then it became most recently a whole program where we actually in Southern California have our own branded eyewear clinic. It's like a mobile eyewear clinic that has an optometrist inside and all the equipment that it needs. And it goes to schools in underserved communities where the student body is 50% or above on free and reduced lunch program. And we actually show up at the school. We screen every student at the school as long as mom and dad will give us a waiver. And if that student has a prescription or needs glasses, we will give them that prescription free of charge. That partnership today is done with Vision to Learn. They're an organization that was founded in 2012, and we're super proud about what we're doing there. And going back to your question about day one, and kind of the founder story, DIFF Eyewear was founded in the music festival industry. Of all places, we sort of started selling no-name, kind of unbranded eyewear. We had like psychedelic eyewear. This is where I actually met my business partners. We had psychedelic eyewear, where you'd put it on and the glasses would almost like take like a light point, like you see the lights behind me and where I was at a concert, and it would do like prismatic. It would almost like diffract the light, and it would make like prisms and things like that. And we sold other kind of fun things, but that was where we met hundreds of thousands of people every summer, where they were telling us, we were seeing that they weren't brand loyal to all these giant brands that we grew up with. And they're just looking for something affordable that would stand the test of time, had quality. And of course, I loved the charity piece. So what started in the music festival industry then transpired into kind of transition and went on to become an e-commerce brand. And we thought that was going to be just it for us. We never thought we were going to need wholesale and other omnichannel, but we slowly kind of added in the different omnichannel aspects of things, whether it's Amazon and wholesale distribution into Nordstrom and Dillard's and boutiques around the country and things like that.
That's amazing. Now, with the first kind of initial products, was it just sunglasses and then you were giving back reading glasses, or was it all reading glasses as well?
No. So the initial give back started as reading glasses. So when I was in college, I was actually an ambassador for Tom's shoes. I ran the surf team in college, really proud of that. And then we had like this little sponsorship from Tom's where we were getting gear from them. But what stuck with me wasn't always so much the product as much as it was their program, their giving back. So it was a 1-for-1 model. Someone would buy a pair of shoes, they'd give a pair of shoes. Well, I thought that was interesting and could be done with eyewear. It started with one individual that I still talk to this day. Her name is Sherry Grigsby, and she had a charity called Eyes on Africa. She was a retired teacher. She would go and buy reading glasses, and she would take them into 17 different countries around Africa. And I had a contact with her from what I was doing previously before DIFF, And I told her, hey, I love what you're doing. I want to give reading glasses for every pair of sunglasses that someone purchases from DIFF, and you're going to be our partner. We did that with her for a few years until we began to really scale. And so to answer your question, it was definitely just reading glasses in the beginning. A big reason why is because reading glasses are actually quite affordable. Not a lot of people know that, but it doesn't cost a ton of money to make readers. So, and they're actually, it's about 70% of people that once they reach the age of 40 or above will need some sort of, vision correction. A lot of times it can be fixed with just a generic reader. But the issue there was you don't get to help people of all ages. And as someone who's newly sort of a father, I think it's important to help children and adults alike. So that's why we sort of transitioned the charity over time from just being reading glasses to we did surgeries and medicine. And now we've got our own, that branded van that I was telling you about. It's a mobile, basically a mobile eye care clinic that we're able to go to schools and really help children, where I think that's where it all starts, right? Being able to get someone a resource that they need, like vision care at a young age, so that they can learn and grow and become part of society and have all the chances they need to be successful.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful thing. At the start of the business, right? You were kind of cutting your teeth in these music festivals. Did anyone on the team have any sort of at that point in time, have any sort of experience building a business, or were you guys just kind of figuring it out and learning as you were going?
Yeah. So my team, my two business partners and I definitely think we were a little bit of a tripod in a sense that we all had different experiences come in from different places, but together we rounded out what became an incredible team. Tiny bit of background on myself. My dad imported eyewear for 50 years. So he was one to teach me about, when I was working with him, it was going to trade shows and selling. It was working with factories overseas and learning how to make eyewear and create and design and really work with partners overseas, which is not easy. And he didn't really build brands, but he had lines of eyewear that we sold into different parts of the market, whether it was women's or sport or men's and things like that. My other business partner, the one I met first, was actually the one that really started doing the glasses at music festivals, things like that. So when I found him, he had a company called Rave Shades, and he was going to electronic dance music festivals and selling the psychedelic eyewear. And I was actually soliciting him to try to get him to buy glasses from the company I was working at, which was my dad's company. And he flipped it on me. He's like, hey, I need a partner like you that knows how to import and distribute and all this stuff that you're already doing. I think you'd have fun doing what I'm doing. How do you feel about partnering up? And I took the bait, and it was the best thing I ever did. And then my other business partner, Chad, so that was Zach, my other business partner, Chad, was actually doing the same thing as what Zach was doing at music festivals, but on the other side of the country. Zach was from the East Coast. Chad was kind of doing the Midwest and over to the West Coast. And they were kind of competitors in that industry. But what Chad had that was unique that Zach and I both didn't really have, under our belt yet, was he was really good on the digital side. So he was building websites at the time and kind of running e-commerce way before Zach and I had really figured that out and how to do it well. And he was good at ad buying and placing ads and things like that. So together, you kind of had me with the wholesale background with production and manufacturing, Zach more kind of this wild entrepreneur, very visionary, and what became our big brand marketing guy. He was able to get the glasses on celebrities and all these other things that kind of drove the brand in the beginning. And then Chad on the digital side, who could take that kind of qualified pool of traffic that was coming in from what Zach was doing, getting the glasses through social media marketing and influencer marketing before it was ever called that. And he would take that and sort of apply it to the digital side, right? Bringing it in and advertising and CRM and retention and all that good stuff. So it was a tripod.
Oh, no, that's amazing. And it also shows that you guys had unique skill sets that you were bringing to the table. There's probably some listeners out there that are in the early stages, looking for partners. Thinking back to the founding of this business, what advice would you give to folks out there that are exploring, partnering with folks at the early stages of their business?
Yeah, partnerships to me are, I can't do what we do without partners. So to me, having good business partners was everything. It started with my dad, right? He was a great mentor. He taught me everything he could about the eyewear industry that he knew. But I was looking at sort of the advent of what was going on with e-commerce and digital, but also really creating a brand that would stand the test of time. But then became my business partners that I have to this day. And what I believe is really powerful about business partnerships is that if you're lucky enough to have good partners, it does sort of what I mentioned that we did, right? There are strengths that each of you are going to have. And as long as you can sort of stay in your lane and really feed off of each other, it creates a much stronger team, right? And you're able to accomplish things much stronger, much better, much easier, I think, together as a team if you all sort of have your own strengths and you play to those strengths and you respect each other enough to say, yeah, you're really good at this. Let you run this and you do this and I'll do this. And we kind of stay in our lanes. But what I also find is that it's good to sort of have, in my case, I had someone that was very visionary who wanted to go from 0 to a billion as fast as possible. And me, more on the conservative side, who was saying, hey, let's grow slow and focus on excellence. And then sort of another business partner that sits in the middle. So you kind of come together and able to decide like, what's the right way to grow? And how do we get there together? But without all of us, I don't think DIFF would have ever became what it became. It was sort of lightning in a bottle. And the last thing I'd say to anybody and advice I would give you is really, if you can trust each other, it makes your life easier, because if you're trying to run a business and you're trying to also have that balance, right? The work-life balance that everybody struggles to find as an entrepreneur, having good business partners allows you to do that. Because if I need to take time, or if I need to make sure that I'm doing something and need to step away, I have that support. And I was always doing that for them, and they're always doing that for me. And I think that's unique. And you don't get that from not always just the team you can build beneath. It comes with great partnerships and people that have sweat in the game.
That's absolutely true. Having a partner you can trust just does make things a lot easier. I'm lucky myself to have a fantastic business partner. Shout out, Sean. Hey, everybody, just a quick reminder. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't. We're releasing interviews like this every week, so don't miss out. Now back to the interview. With the kind of launching the business with these 3 partners back there, like, was it always called DIFF Charitable Eyewear? You know, how did you guys land on that brand? And then, you know, what was the first kind of year or two like?
Yeah, DIFF was, so we knew we wanted to be different, right? So we were going to have this sort of disruptive approach to the e-commerce space, but also just to the eyewear industry. So DIFF came from, we were selling diffraction glasses at music festivals. Diffraction glasses were the ones I was telling you about, where they sort of diffract the light. And we were driving back from a music festival in Colorado, and my business partner, Chad Jernigan, said, what if we called it DIFF? And I remember being like, that's a terrible name. We should not do that. And, but it checked some boxes. We wanted it to be 4 letters, 1 syllable, something that you could brand well, fit on the temple of a pair of sunglasses. And so it checked some of these boxes. And, once I started realizing the play on the words there, what it meant to be different. And we truly wanted to be different. We wanted to do things, we wanted to bring a new life into the eyewear industry. It started to kind of, sink in and stuck with me a little bit. And I'm glad we kept it, because DIFF is, to me, a great name now. And we kept charitable eyewear in the logo itself and in sort of the brand name itself, because I never wanted that piece of it to get lost. So to me, it was important to kind of have that there, because although it doesn't go on all of our branding, it does go kind of on the inside of the temple, that whole logo piece, DIFF Charitable Eyewear. But to me, as brands grow, I knew that sometimes it's a lot of times brands lose their core values and their core DNA. And to me, leaving the words charitable and, eyewear, but really that word charitable in the logo itself, in the brand name itself, was going to be a constant reminder to myself, my partners, and anybody that came onto this team, that it's not just something we do, but it's a responsibility that we have to run this business, grow this business. And as we grow, it means that we can affect more lives positively. And it's actually been really rewarding. And I think it was one of the best moves we ever made.
That's fantastic. I have been in business for nearly 20 years, and very few companies I have hired in that time have performed as well as Electric Eye. They have knowledgeable staff, and our project was delivered on time and on budget. Electric Eye has exceeded my expectations, and I look forward to working with them again. That is a direct quote from one of our clients at Electric Eye. Electric Eye is a Shopify Plus partner that has helped over 100 brands migrate, redesign, and optimize their stores since 2016. If you'd like to increase your conversion rate, average order value, and revenue per session, we are the true Shopify experts you've been looking for. Right now, we're offering a free diagnostic to qualified brands that reach out and mention the podcast. Visit electriceye.io today to schedule a call and send us a message. Find out why we have over 50 5-star reviews in the Shopify Partner Directory. Again, that's electriceye.io, electriceye.io. If you sell big, bulky, oversized products on Shopify, I'm talking saunas, reformers, ping pong tables, exam tables, you know the pain. Your cart can't automatically show the real price to deliver that product. So maybe you guess a flat rate for your shipping, or there's that obnoxious email us for a quote button, and the buyer just doesn't purchase. That's why FreightRight built the world's first solution to make merchants' checkouts freight ready for heavy goods. Quote less, ship more. With FreightRight installed on your Shopify store, your customers see the true cost of shipping, including options for white glove or curbside, lift gates, appointments, even taxes, duties, and tariffs, all automatically calculated for any buyer anywhere in the world. Behind the scenes, FreightRight books the carrier, generates the bill of landing, dispatches, tracks, and writes the actual shipping costs back to the order, so finance isn't staring at a $0 line item. Prefer to offer free shipping domestically? Go for it. FreightRight automates the operation behind the scenes. Sell in other countries without local fulfillment facilities or distributors. Ship direct to consumer from your warehouse or even from your factory with accurate landed costs and reliable delivery times at checkout. Quote less and ship more with FreightRight. Make big and bulky finally buyable on Shopify. For the first 50 listeners to get set up with FreightRight before Black Friday, FreightRight will actually cover the first $500 in shipping costs on orders that are fulfilled through FreightRight. To take them up on that offer, go to freightright.com/honest. That's FREIGHTRIGHT.com/HONEST to get your free customized quote and start selling your best sellers around the world. Visit freightright.com/honest today. That's freightright.com/honest. Have you hit a wall with performance marketing on Facebook and Google? It might be time to think about where your next customers are spending their time online. That's where Realize comes in. Realize helps thousands of direct-to-consumer brands to tap into more ad placements across hundreds of premium websites, reaching audiences you just can't find on traditional social channels. With intent-based, contextually relevant ad placements, you can drive real conversions, not just impressions, and expand your acquisition strategy with better data, more control, and higher ROI. Realize helps you build high-performing AI-powered ad experiences backed by 17 years of data. And simple to set up, no bloated dashboards or complicated onboarding, so you can start scaling fast. You can also leverage your own first-party data to retarget people already in your funnel. So if you're ready to go beyond Facebook and Google and start reaching new audiences, head on over to discover.taboola.com/honest. That's discover.taboola.com/honest. discover.taboola.com/honest. Running an e-commerce business means wearing a lot of hats: founder, marketer, customer service, logistics, and let's be honest, sometimes even therapist. But one thing you shouldn't have to stress about: business insurance. That's where Next Insurance comes in. Next is built specifically for small businesses, including e-commerce brands, making it simple to get the right coverage entirely online in just minutes. Whether you sell handmade candles, athletic wear, or subscription boxes, Next helps protect you from the unexpected, from product liability to shipping mishaps and everything in between. And here's the best part. You can save up to 30% on your business insurance and get peace of mind for as low as $1 per day, knowing Next has your back. With transparent pricing, flexible plans, and instant certificates of insurance, Next gives you the confidence to focus on what matters most: growing your store. So if you're ready to protect your business while scaling your brand, head over to nextinsurance.com/honest to get covered today. That's nextinsurance.com/honest. nextinsurance.com/honest. And yeah, so those first couple of years, obviously, I've actually met the other Chad on your team. now with him helping kind of launch stuff digitally, what were like the first couple of years, like were you guys still doing the music festivals to get your customers? Like, how did you get the word out there about DIFF?
Yeah, I was going to mention this too. Sorry. And going back. So the first couple of years, if I had to sum it up and give you one word on what it was fun. And I don't mean to say that it's not fun anymore. It's just changed a lot, right?
Yeah.
And it's true. You're bigger. There's more people here working with you. You truly are responsible for your team and trying to make sure that you're doing right by them. And I'm not saying it's not fun again. It's just, it becomes a lot more serious. In the first early part of all this, it was 3 guys sitting around a table in an office or really a warehouse in Gardena, just trying to figure out how we were going to get the glasses on as many faces as possible. And yeah, we stuck to the music festival thing for probably about a year, but the guys and I, my partners and I, had started other brands and other companies that were doing different things. We had a customizable eyewear piece where we were taking, non-branded glasses and branding them for, large festivals and large brands and things like that. We still had the music festival, other brands that we had in that my partners had started previous to DIFF going. And the thing we had to do was shut it all down because we knew the focus had to go to DIFF. So like I said, it started with product. We designed our first couple SKUs. We brought them in. We bootstrapped this thing. So that was different. We never took any capital. And then it became Zach's job to really figure out, okay, how are we going to get these glasses on as many people as possible? And that started with, I mentioned influencer marketing before they were called influencers. So we were just pinging people on Instagram that had their email in their bio saying, hey, we'd like to trade you a pair of glasses for a post. And this was pre-algorithm. So everything was chronological. We were getting some views. And one day a pair landed in the hands of a teen mom, one of the gals from the MTV show Teen Mom. And it was like our first $10,000 day. And we were like, oh, where did this come from? And we started kind of tracking back and seeing it came from this one woman. And that was when it really opened the floodgates. It's like, okay, how do we get from this kind of reality TV star to this reality TV star to the Kardashians and the Jenners and A-list celebrities and things like that, which Zach did. I give him a lot of credit. He did it very successfully. He was able to get it in the hands of those people. We were working with the Jenner family and the Kardashians, and that kind of skyrocketed the brand. That's when Nordstrom started calling and Dillard's and all the department stores. And then Chad Jernigan was doing a great job of handling what we were doing with the e-commerce piece. And of course, I'm out there servicing the big department stores and going to trade shows and things like that. And that was all within basically the first 2 years. 2015 was our first real year of business in 2016. And all of that occurred within that time frame.
That's amazing. Looking back now, obviously we're talking about all of the awesome things that DIFF has been doing. Any mistakes along the way, like learning moments that you might want to point out for the audience, like, hey, we did this so you don't have to. Yeah,
I mean, the one of the biggest mistakes and struggles, I think, is not looking at, we did things very ragtag and we didn't have really a financial mindset when it first started. We were just thinking in terms of product, marketing, how to keep things going that way. And I always tell people, if I could go back to the very beginning, day one, what is one thing or one person you would bring into the fold right away? It would be someone that understands really the finance side of things and understanding how to build a budget, how to, really keep your eye on inventory. That's another thing that kills people in the early days very quickly. We've had a lot of issues with inventory way back when. Our inventory is really under control now, which is very grateful for that. And we've got a great CEO and some other great team members here that have helped us really make that happen. But that and just a classic answer to that question also is the ops, right? So I always I had the privilege of running our warehouse for a couple of years. I had 25 people that were reporting into me at the warehouse level, trying to ship thousands of glasses every day, and that becomes very cumbersome. So making sure that you've got your ops in place, because my way of explaining it was that you can sell 1 million pair of glasses today, but if they can't leave the warehouse, you're nothing, right? So just making sure that your ops and your finance and things like that are in place, but the engine, right, the marketing and the product, that to me was what was coming to us quite easily in the beginning. It was kind of the other more fundamental things you probably hear from a lot of founders that I will say again, if they've heard it 100 times, those are things you got to measure. Those are things you got to get under control and do it early because they can be killers if they get out of control.
Absolutely. Yeah. Knowing your numbers is absolutely critical, especially on like the marketing side of things. And I know Chad on the other side of the table doing that stuff, like being able to scale with like ads and all that jazz. If you don't know your contribution margins or like what you can actually pay to acquire a customer,
that's right.
Things can get scary very fast.
Yeah. And when you're making money, typically that sort of like, money and revenue can sort of hide your sins for only so long, right? And until it kind of catches up, and you're like, wait, we're bleeding out, but you don't know where you're bleeding out because you don't have books and you're not really, tracking all of that. But we're very sophisticated now, and we do that very well. But in the early days, we didn't. And if I could go back again, that to me would be someone who would make a great business partner.
Yeah.
Right. Someone who has the chops and is analytical and does understand numbers and does understand operations and building a budget, like something I didn't learn until like the 4th or 5th year in business. I was like, we don't need a budget. It's like, yeah, you do. You want to know where you're tracking and what you're spending to get to your goals.
Looking the other way, what are you seeing going on with DIFF in the, next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, critical things are coming for DIFF, right? So we're 10 years old, and that to me was a huge milestone. And we focused on excellence in North America. So making sure that we could scale our D2C in North America, making sure that we could make our department store and our partners in the department store realm and the boutique realm really proud. But we've historically been a sun brand. DIFF Charitable Eyewear was founded mostly as a sun brand. And we didn't really start introducing optical until a few years ago. What started as a very small, like 2% of the business has quickly grown to almost like 15% of the overall business right now. So to me, optical is exciting because when you look at the $1 billion behemoths out there, a lot of them are flipped, right? Look at Warby Parker, for example, massive organization. And they're mostly optical. So we're trying to we don't want to totally flip it. I'm proud that we've done so well with sunglasses and we've been able to penetrate that market. But to me, you go from just being sun into optical, you take it away from just being an accessory, you take it to being a medical device, something that people need, and insurance covers and things like that. So that's a huge growth avenue for us, not just through our own D2C, but another very exciting thing that's going to come down the pipeline is we're going to start opening our own stores. So we've actually recently just signed a lease and we're going to be opening the design for the store we've been working on for the last almost the last entire year. And the store design is very unique. It brings a storytelling element into what I think if you look at eyewear stores today, and I'm not bashing them, I love going into a Sunglass Hut or going into an Oakley store and seeing what's there. But what DIFF does, we have 24 licenses that we're running next year, for example. That's really exciting. That's another really exciting thing. But being able to tell that story in store in a really creative way, to me, is going to be what's going to set us apart. So all of those things are starting to come together. So the optical will be available in store. We're going to keep growing that online. We're also going to be doing a big push into wholesale with optical. And then you've got the licenses I mentioned, and you've got the store that we're opening. So those are just some things that are on the top of my head that I think are going to drive serious growth, but it's also something that is going to make our consumer that we already have very excited, and some of the consumers we haven't met or touched yet out there in the world, come into the DIFF atmosphere.
Now, is there anything I didn't ask you about that you think would resonate with our audience?
I mean, no, we're touching on some very exciting things. I mean, to me, going back to some of the things that I think, you mentioned, like if someone's coming out and wanting to do something for the first time or just starting out, it's like, I always tell people that don't let something like being in a competitive industry be the thing that stops you. Or, because a lot of people would have told me and did tell me in the beginning that eyewear is really competitive. But I think following your dream there and kind of pushing into something that you really believe in and that has a why, something that will have that why. For us, it was the charity. For someone else, it might be something different. But putting those things at the forefront, something you believe in that's going to make something special, actually going after it. But big thing for me too was kind of shutting down all the distraction, focusing on never letting what you really want to do and what you're passionate about be like a side gig. My big advice, and something I always tell to anybody that's listening, it's like, if you really want to make it happen and you're passionate about it, shut down the distraction, go after it, but make it the focal point of everything you're doing. And you'll hear time and time again, right? If someone really puts in the time, really puts in the effort, win or fail, you always come out on top in a way, lesson learned, or something takes off. So yeah, that's something I'm always telling people. It's like, go hard, and make sure you've got that thing that will differentiate you and give people that why.
Absolutely, Chad. Now, obviously, go to DIFF Charitable Eyewear. It's diffeyewear.com if you want to support these amazing, pick up some amazing products, but also help them give back. Chad, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chase.